Guy Martin is a third-generation lorry mechanic from Lincolnshire.
Started on lawn mowers at 6-year-old. And then 12-year-old, moved on to trucks. Used to bike to work to go work with my dad. Could not get to work fast enough. I'm still the same now, I think.
He's also a world-famous motorcycle racer who loves the dangers of competing on the roads. As a mechanic,
Trick as you like.
he's fascinated by the era when British workers and extraordinary feats of engineering made this country great. The Industrial Revolution.
That's when we was like the leaders in the world, wasn't it? Bar no one, really. We was the boys, weren't we?
So, in this series, he's going to find out how we did it by getting stuck into 6 major restoration projects around the UK. He'll have to work like the grafters of the past.
It was the normal thing to be doing 12, 14, 15-hour days, that sort of thing. And I think, yeah, that's all right. There's nothing wrong with that.
He'll follow in their footsteps to learn about their way of life
I'm all right.
and the dangers they faced.
Some heat off that. Day in, day out, thought we're getting killed. Risky business. We've got it cushy now, haven't we? If it wasn't for those boys, what, 150 odd years ago, we wouldn't be in the position that we're in now. We can't forget what those boys did, can we?
This is how Britain worked. This time, Guy's out of his comfort zone. He's going to give a thorough overhaul to the Birmingham Botanical Gardens.
Yeah, it's not really my cup of tea, really, at all, to be listening to tweeting birds and planting flowers. But I think, yeah, I'm going to give it a go.
Urban parks and gardens aren't the most obvious product of the Industrial Revolution. But beneath their neatly clipped lawns and fragrant borders, there's a hidden world of radical engineering and cutting-edge technology.
Oh, that sounds right.
Absolutely perfect.
As Guy goes to work, he'll uncover stories of the Victorian middle classes living in fear of the degenerate poor, packed into city slums.
You're living on top of each other. Have to wait for them to fall asleep and then stack them up in the corner and let the next one go to sleep. They're just houses that have been chocker.
And intrepid plant hunters, risking their lives in the farthest corners of the British Empire.
He looks very Indiana Jones-like, don't you think?
Birmingham had one of Britain's finest botanical gardens and parks. But 183 years after they first opened, they're showing their age.
Yeah, keep coming.
The plan is to bring them back to life in time for an opening ceremony in 3 months. That means there's an enormous amount of work for Guy and the team of experts he's joining. The showpiece glass houses need a top-to-toe refurbishment.
It's a bit of a mess up there, isn't it? Keep blowing.
Keep blowing. And Guy will have to master the art of glassmaking by hand.
Job's knackered. I think we'll have another go. Yeah, let's have another go.
He'll also try and replicate the precision of the 19th century workers who built the very first lawnmower.
Let's go on.
Yeah, go on.
Kick some grass.
And rebuilding the Himalayan rock garden will need some heavy-duty engineering.
All the land's caving away. Big job, really.
By the 19th century, Britons felt that they owned the world. The empire stretched across 14 million square miles and 63 countries. They wanted to bring the riches of their planet back home to show off in the hearts of their big cities. And to do it, they created extraordinary new buildings on an unprecedented scale. Great glass houses. The most famous was Crystal Palace, built to house the Great Exhibition of 1851. It took 2,000 workers just 8 months to complete, using over 300,000 individual panes of glass. It was destroyed by fire in 1936. The greenhouses of Birmingham's Botanical Gardens were glazed by the same firm, the Chance brothers of Smethwick. And fortunately, this example of their work still survives today. Guy's first job is cleaning some of their 2,000 panes.
I don't know, I don't mind a bit of window cleaning. Okay? You know, it's 1832 this place was put up. It was no surprise it needs a bit of TLC. So it needs to keep these clean, don't we? Yeah, we need to get the sunlight to the plants. That's what keeps them going.
Creating huge greenhouses filled with rare and exotic plants was only made possible by a revolution in glass-making technology.
I think the muck's on the inside.
To find out how it was done, Guy's going to make one of these, a Wardian case.
Yeah, without this invention here from Nathaniel Bagshaw Ward, I mean, half the plants in here would never have ended up in England. I mean, because the idea of this was, I mean, it's just, well, it just looks like a mini greenhouse, doesn't it? But the idea of it was to, you know, you go and get all these botanists going out all over the world and collecting all these fancy plants. They'd put them in this to protect them. You know, they'd be safe on the deck of a ship. They wouldn't get frozen to death and they wouldn't get covered in salt water. Cracking idea, I reckon. I'm going to have a go at making one.
Guy wants to make his own contribution to the new gardens by hunting down some plants. The case will be the perfect place to store them.
We're a bit short of glass, and that's why we're here. We're going to make some traditional style flat glass, and I'm going to blow some glass. I don't quite know how I'm going to do that.
Guy's here to try and learn the cylinder method, where a long cylinder of glass is cut along its length and then flattened out to make a sheet. It's a method that the world-famous Chance brothers, who also glazed the Houses of Parliament, pioneered. Walter Pinches still uses the 1830s method to make glass today.
You're the only fella here that does this.
I'm the only one daft enough. You like how it goes?
Hey, go on, yeah, I'm not sure I get stuck in.
The process starts with the gather. A hollow pipe is dipped and rolled in a mixture of molten silica, which is derived from sand.
All right, again.
No, come here.
The silica sticks to the end of the pipe and creates a bulb.
Over there. Don't burn nobody.
Yeah, go on, I've got it.
Which is then cooled and rolled in a shaper. After 3 gathers and 3 visits to the shaper, the bulb is big enough.
Now start to blow, steady.
And Guy starts blowing air into it to inflate it gently like a balloon.
Keep blowing.
Keep blowing.
After a lot of blowing, Guy produces a very passable balloon of glass.
Now blow it again, steady. Just get the shape back. That's it.
Yeah.
Next, it's reheated to 1,000 degrees and carefully swung to make the smooth cylinder shape.
Okay, you won't need a heater in here in the winter, will you? Hey?
Walter demonstrates how it's done.
Still spinning it as you're doing that. Hot, innit?
Then it's Guy's turn.
Try swinging it.
Yeah.
I tried probably half a dozen times, and everyone looked like a pig's ear. In fact, that'd have probably been insulting a pig if you'd have said it looks so much like a pig's ear. There was just an absolute, well, there was just an, yeah. I can't say what I was thinking then, can I?
Okay, that's it.
Is the job knackered?
I'll say it is.
Is it? Job's knackered. We're going to start. What do we do now?
We'll scrap that and start again.
Scrap it and start again, yeah.
But I'll have it.
19th century glass blowers took 7 years to acquire this necessary skill.
You have to master each stage before they let you move on to the next stage. And obviously, when you'd mastered them all, that's when you was on the proper money.
Okay. Let's see what's happened now.
Yeah, the air's coming to the top.
Push it in straight. You've got all your weight over here. Just blow it out from the soil.
We'll go again. Come on.
After numerous attempts, Guy finally gets one right.
Just tap it here. That's it.
It's like that.
With the ends removed, Guy has to score down the length of the cylinder with a tungsten carbide cutter doused in oil to ensure it moves smoothly along the glass. Then he taps along the score to make a clean break.
It's a job with so much feel.
Having made another cut parallel to the first, he removes a strip of glass. The cylinder is now ready to be flattened.
That ain't as easy as it looks. Well, it don't even look easy. None of this looks easy.
The glass now needs to be heated again. David Gwilt has specialised in this part of the process for almost 9 years.
We're about 600 degrees at the end.
No, this is just under 900 degrees.
Is that hot enough to make it flexible but not melted?
Yeah, like a sort of toffee texture, so you can pick it up and manipulate it.
Yeah.
So you'll have to walk in and get, sort of there, and then just get the hook all the way through to the other side. Okay. And
yeah.
Lift it up, and pull it back. That's it, and then roll it, drop it down and roll.
See you.
Okay. Drop it down. Try and lift up that end that's sticking now before it...
Yeah?
OK, yeah, keep going. I think it's stuck on the one end, but...
It's stuck down there,
I
isn't
have to try a bit of wangling.
A bit of wangling.
It's a work of art.
Oh.
I think that one's had it.
Yeah, that ain't...
I think we'll have another go.
Yeah, let's have another go.
Right, drop it down on the table now.
See?
And roll it down to the right. OK, drop it down, quick. And then get hold of that flat and flip it over. Lovely.
Yeah?
OK, that's spot on.
All right.
The next stage is just to get a big block of wood. The heavier the better, really. It makes the job easier.
You'll be ready for a pint at the end of the day.
Absolutely. I mean, the old glassmakers, they always used to have bottles of beer by them, but...
Bottles of beer?
Bottles of beer. Glassmakers always were renowned for heavy drinkers because they always had bottles of beer. And, you know, now we have to settle for water. It's not a very good compromise.
You're already playing at it, really.
Yeah. It's a pretty good start on that.
Well, thank you very much.
We'll get something out of that sheet.
I don't know what we'll do out of that first one, though.
No, I think that'll have to be sort of hung in the Tate or something.
Hey, a bit of modern art, yeah, that's about all that'll be used for.
Once the flat pane has cooled down gently, it can be scored and trimmed to size, and then fixed into Guy's Wardian case, using wooden beading to hold it in place.
Well, it just looks like a mini version of my granddad's greenhouse. And it used that original sort of glass, all wavy glass. Definitely. Oh, it's a lovely, lovely greenhouse. Yeah, it's all right. It's not hard to look at, is it?
Guy's first contribution to bringing the Birmingham Botanical Gardens back to life is now complete. But the real hard work is still to come. Guy Martin is helping to restore the 180-year-old Birmingham Botanical Gardens, bringing one of the country's finest Victorian show gardens back to life. He's moved on from the glasshouses to the rock garden, a 19th century attempt to recreate the Himalayas in a small corner of the West Midlands.
You can tell it's got a look of newness to it there. Well, here it's definitely not. It's looking a bit tired, isn't it?
The 250 tons of gritstone is collapsing.
A bit of work to do. Well, where do you start, eh?
Returning the garden to its former glory means a complete rebuild.
Oh no, we've got some work on here. There's some work on. We best get stuck in.
For this next stage of the challenge, Guy will be working with gardeners Derek Wilkes and Nigel Hopes.
How's it going?
Not too bad.
Derek has dedicated 30 years of his life to this place. 26-year-old Nigel has been in charge of the Alpine area for 5 years. They need to clear the whole site while saving as many of the existing plants as possible.
What can we rescue out of here?
There's a few primulas there. That's
Primulas? What's a primula?
Primula florundi, which is a big yellow primula about that sort
Primula
of
florundi? Well, I don't know. Is that what that is? That's not English, is it? Is it?
Well, it's Latin.
So what's a daffodil in Latin?
Narcissus.
Bloody hell. They had all these fancy Latin names and, yeah, I mean, I struggle enough with English, never mind Latin. But these fellas had to know all that. No, not fair play.
Gardening took brains and brawn, but it was a career with real prospects. 30 years of graft and learning could see the apprentice become a head gardener.
But that was a well-respected job. You know, if you was the head gardener, you was as well thought of as the fella that owned the place. You know, because it's just not an easy number, really. I mean, you go and get these fancy plants from Middle East or Himalayas or wherever, and they don't come with a manual. No manual, no instruction manual. You know, you had to try and replicate the environment where that plant had come from. You had to try and replicate that in a city centre somewhere. So yeah, that was going to be a challenge in itself, wasn't it? Himalayas, how can you replicate Himalayan weather in the middle of Birmingham? That's not the same make as that, is it?
It is, yeah.
Oh, Primulus florundi then.
That's it. That needs potting up now.
All right.
Behind the creation of most of Britain's urban parks, there was a deadly serious intent. The middle classes saw them as an antidote to one of the greatest social problems of the time, the horrific living conditions in the new industrial cities. Their population had been expanding at a terrifying rate.
I mean, just during the Industrial Revolution, during 30 years, the population of Birmingham grew 40%. Hey? 40%. They were living on top of each other. wouldn't they? Have to wait for them to fall asleep and then stack them up in the corner and let the next one go to sleep. They're just houses that have been chocker.
In the worst cases, 4 families would share each story of the houses, known as back-to-backs. So named because they were built right up against each other, leaving no room for gardens between them. Nearly all have now been demolished, but the few that remain have been cleaned up and given a lick of paint for visitors.
It's original 1830s. Come and have a look. We'll go have a look. Go on. Now, mates,
Afternoon.
how's it going?
All right.
We've primed them up already. Come on. We've got a few forward. We're just going to go show them these back-to-backs, mates.
Absolutely show them round.
Thank you very much. Oh, heck, it's busy. It's fairly busy. Originally, there was 11 houses here. 11 three-storey buildings. 67 people living here altogether. Yeah, so what have we got here? What have we got here? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. About 10 folk there, so you can imagine 67 folk. But she'd have been a bit cosy, wouldn't it? She'd have been a bit cosy. There's some loos around the corner. There's only 3 loos. So you've got 67 people all using 3 pans. We call it the pans, or is that very politically correct? The toilets, the latrine. Can we call it the latrine? So it's the pan. We're going to go show you the pan. Come on. You see?
The toilets would quickly overflow and become unusable. Bricks were used as stepping stones across the streams of excrement in the streets. Pigs were kept between houses so they could feed off the sewage. The middle classes lived in fear of this new feral poor. One newspaper talked of colonies of heathens and savages. They wrote about animalistic mobs who they said would turn on their masters. Free public parks were part of the fight back. The hope was that access to fresh air and nature would civilise the slum population. Birmingham Botanical Gardens were paid for by local factory owners and designed by one of the great social reformers of the 19th century.
John Claudius Loudon, that designed this place, he was a bit of a pipe and slippers sort of fella. I mean, he had only one arm and an opium habit, so he didn't have much choice in the matter. But he didn't sit on his backside all the time. You know, he fought for decent condition for his workers. You know, he fought for a decent wage. He fought for that and the latest machinery. You know, he got it so they could all use lawnmowers. You know, you want to cut this lawn like this, wouldn't you, with a pair of scissors? Oh, good man.
Before lawnmowers, cutting lawns was back-breaking work left to scythesmen. But then, mill mechanic Edwin Beard Budding invented something that consigned the centuries-old scythe to history: the world's first lawnmower. Nobody knows more about these machines than Brian Radham. He's a former lawnmower racing champion and curator of the world's only lawnmower museum. Together, he and Guy are going to build a mower according to Budding's original plans.
And that's his patent of how it works.
Is it? And what year was that? What was that? 1830? This
1830.
Right, Brian, are we ready?
OK, we can take the side frames.
Yeah.
The design incorporates a clever spinning cylinder of 6 precisely machined spiral knives, constantly passing over a static blade.
If you want a really top quality finish on your lawn, you still use that design of the cylinder. You know, the roller, the cylinder, and the knife on the bottom. That's still the best way to get a decent finish on your grass.
What we're wanting is the cutter to be just kissing the bottom blade.
Right.
Each one of those blades is cutting all the way along.
Mm-hmm.
So each time this comes round...
Yeah, there's not a lot wrong with that, is it?
No, that's absolutely perfect.
Perfect.
The other clever piece of design was adding a gearing system, so one stride pushing the mower resulted in the cutting blade spinning multiple times.
You can see how big he's had to do the gears to get the ratio right. So this looks like it's going to be around about 11, 12 to 1. So one revolution of the roller will give the cutting cylinder 12 turns.
Budding's lawnmower even included a mechanical clutch to disengage the blade, precision engineered to 0.003 of an inch.
And I mean, them fellas were making them back with files. Hey, filing them up by hand. Yeah, that took some doing that. You know, it wasn't a 2-minute job to build it today. You know, if you'd have tried doing that, 180 years ago. 180, if you tried doing that, no. I think that's brilliant. I think it's brilliant.
He was an extremely good designer.
And with a few final tweaks from another of Budding's inventions, the adjustable spanner,
Oh, that sounds right.
Absolutely perfect.
the finished mower is ready for its maiden cut.
Let's give it a whirl then.
Let's go on.
Yeah, go on.
Kick some grass.
Budding's first lawnmower was made from heavy wrought and cast iron, so making it move was usually a two-man operation.
I didn't know that we had donkeys pulling lawnmowers. And then we had Honourable Frances Wolsey, she was pulling a lawnmower. That's all well, innit? That's right. I'm going to have Brian. You weren't on the beer last night, were you? No?
Are you ready?
Go on then, Brian, after you, Brian. Oh, I were away.
When Budding was right, just doing the work of 6 men.
Oh, aye. Going a treat.
There's no petrol, there's no oil. It's going to last a lifetime. Nice and quiet. That's the best bit of lawn that there is here.
Yeah, look, you can see the stripes, can't you? Hey? Good work.
You've got to say that is a cut above the rest.
You've used that before, Brian. You've used that before, haven't you?
And
It's not bad, is it?
And it's been mower interesting as well.
Oh, you're full of them, Brian.
Having raked up his cuttings, Guy heads
Oh, we're going down here.
to the compost heap.
Sling her on, eh?
Right onto the top.
Yeah. Books have been written on compost. Fellas have written books just on compost and nothing else. You know, it's not like a small section of the book or one chapter of the book was on compost. No, the whole book was on compost. It's a right in-depth thing.
The Romans knew that rotten organic matter made a great fertiliser.
Get us warmed up, man.
But the Victorians liked to add a gruesome ingredient to the mix.
Bone meal. It's not unknown for
Bone meal?
bone from crematoriums and from battles and things like that being used.
Oh, right.
Obviously, bone, it being broken down, is a very good source of minerals, isn't it?
Well, it's a good activator.
Not human bones, though, is it?
Well, yeah.
Human bones, have?
Yeah,
Is that right?
yeah.
Oh, heck, I don't know. The families and
It
the
does-
families won't be too pleased.
It does sound
What's happened
a
to
bit
old Alfred?
grim.
Oh, he got killed in the Battle of Waterloo in whatever year it was, and yeah, they put him on a compost heap. All right. You know, to get the job going a bit better, nitrogen was a big important part of this, and you know, the best thing really was to have to pee on them. They come across that, you know, a bit of human pee. So yeah, that was the gardener's loo. You know, you go down the compost heap and have a wee. I don't know about pooing. We don't think that went on really. I don't know. I don't really need a pee, but we need to keep it original. But I get a bit stage fright. Oh, the little fella does. Hang on. What's she saying?
Aim it directly into the heap.
Oh, maybe. Maybe. Keep watching. Keep watching. Oh, it's gone. The moment's passed. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, boys. Sorry, boys. Yeah, I couldn't go. Sorry.
Guy Martin is in Birmingham, helping with the restoration of the 200-year-old Botanical Gardens. Work is now concentrated on the Himalayan rock garden to try and rebuild this 250-ton construction in time for the opening ceremony. While contractors prepare the area by partially draining the pond, Guy's heading off to put his Wardian case to use and find some appropriate Himalayan plants to put in the rock garden when it's finished.
That's a great case you've got there.
You reckon?
Garden historian Twiggs Way will show Guy that these days you don't have to look further than your own local garden centre to find the exotic. The reason our local nurseries are now full of rare varieties is because of the exploits of the 19th century explorers, known as the plant hunters.
The plant hunters themselves, especially the early ones, they were real adventurers. These were people that were going out to, you know, undiscovered places, climbing mountains, fording cascades.
You're a plant hunter. You're not Indiana Jones.
Oh, somewhat. I mean, David Douglas came from Scotland, went out and found things like the Douglas fir.
David Douglas. Yeah, he just looks a very normal sort of fella. Yeah, he ended up meeting his death in Hawaii. He fell in a bison pit. You know, they dig these big pits in the ground to trap these bisons, and he ended up falling in it. And he was all right, and, well, he was all right until a bison fell on top of him. And that was the end of his days.
This is one of Douglas's. He brought this back, one of the ones he died for.
It's
So a lot of the
£5.95.
things.
That's not cheap. They're not giving it away, are they?
I mean, you know, the guy died for this, and you want it to be less than £5.95. Pop it in.
Right.
And then we've got a really nice group of ones from another plant hunter called George Forrest.
George Forrest and his lovely dog. Looks very Indiana Jones-like, don't you think? That is a proper plant hunter.
He headed out to Tibet just at the time that a war broke out against all foreigners.
It was 17 fellas he went out with, out to the Himalayas, to bring a load of plants back, and he was the only one to come back. The rest of them got killed. Just out there. They didn't want them nicking the plants, they just didn't like foreigners. We ain't got room for much more.
Armed with wardian cases and steamships,
Past the Avalanches.
The what?
the plant hunters were unstoppable.
That's it, that little one.
Within 15 years of Ward's invention, 6 times as many plants were imported to London's Kew Gardens than had been in the whole previous century.
It's not going to fit.
We'll bend the little fella over.
Don't.
It'll be all right. It'll be all right.
Don't break it.
I won't break it, honestly. It's all right. It's all in hand. Don't worry, lass. No one has died.
Back at the garden, Derek and Nigel seem to approve of Guy's work.
How's everything looking?
There's a few plants in there.
Do you like my selection?
Very good.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
A little bit of
definitely.
colour in the corner.
Yeah. And the lilium regale.
Yeah,
Very
It's,
nice.
it looks very authentic.
Oh, the glass.
Yeah.
I blew that glass.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and let it roll out like
Guy will need to trust his wardian case to protect the new plants until they can be put into the rock garden. And that may still be some time off, as the construction team have hit a bit of a snag.
The restoration of the Botanical Garden was a bigger job than we first thought, so we've had to get some contractors in to start shifting a few rocks about, and we've come across a natural spring. But just not a stream, like a massive natural spring, and it's chucking water everywhere. It's all the land's caving away. Big job, really. Had to shore it all up, and and face it up with a lot of rocks. Anyway, we've run out of rocks, which is a bit of a problem. And we need to either find some rocks to match, which I don't think we're going to do quite easily, or we're going to have to make one. I think that's what we'll do.
In the Industrial Revolution, even nature could be manufactured. Making artificial stone was the speciality of the 19th century landscaper James Pullum. His customers were wealthy Victorians who wanted an exotic alpine environment in their back garden. To see how realistic the replica rocks could be, Guy visits the best surviving examples at Dewstow House in Wales. Its owner was Henry Oakley, a director of the Great Western Railway, and he spent part of his fortune on a cunning secret.
This is half the secret, is these underground grottos. You see them? This is a bit darker. Watch your head. Wherever you look, it's all rock, or what you think was rock. So this here is the other half of the secret. This idea of Polomite. It's fake rock. James Pullum. You see what they've done there? Polomite, James Pullum. It was his idea. It was his secret recipe. It does sound like proper rock, but it's not. It's made up of a bit of rubble or a bit of chicken wire and this mixture of Polomite. Paste it on, and it just looks like rock. I think it's great.
Polomite was so convincing, it fooled even trained geologists.
Yeah, that's Polomite. Isn't it? That's real rock. Fair, these look like real rocks. They're real, aren't they? They're not. They're Polomite. Are they? Oh, so I'm wrong there then. I'm not doing very well here, am I?
Polomite's main ingredient, Portland cement, was patented in the 1820s by a bricklayer from Leeds. It was a mix of limestone, clay, and a mineral called gypsum, and it wasn't just used to make fake rocks. It was the key ingredient in concrete and became a hugely important building material during the Industrial Revolution as a cheap, mouldable alternative to stone.
We've got to look at the likes of Brunel. I mean, he was using all the cement business in making tunnels and bridges, and then there was other folks using it in harbours. You know, it was a right handy material.
Concrete was even used to build ships.
I think I'm doing it right. I don't know.
Pullum's secret formula was known only to a few family members and has vanished without trace. But Val Crispman, a direct descendant of Pullum, thinks she's worked out what it was.
Go on, lass.
You can just turn it over just a couple of times, keep it from setting.
To see whether she's right, she and Guy are going to use her recipe to try and make their own Polomite rock.
How long will it take for that to go on?
It doesn't take long.
They've mixed up Portland cement with sharp sand to give it a rough texture.
Got all of it on there, lass.
That's it. You want to start, that's it, pushing it on, like that.
Right.
The base layer of the fake rock is made out of wood, with chicken wire stretched over it. The wire gives the cement something to grip onto.
Once you've got your coating on there, then you're on a winner then. I should imagine the Pullums are up there now looking down thinking, what on earth
What
are you
are we
doing?
mucking about at? Hey? Hey, we're nearly there.
We're nearly there, nearly there.
That's the FOSS layer. How many layers do you think we're going to have to go for?
Well, I reckon at least another one.
Right, we're nearly out of cement.
Right,
I'll go and mix another batch up.
lovely.
Grand job, Tat.
The men who toiled to dig the raw ingredients of cement were called muddies, and they soon found a way of turning their hard work into sport.
These muddies lads, these are the lads that are digging the clay out of the pits. And to see £28, to see if they could shovel £28 of clay on one load, on one shovel, and then fire it out of the pit into the back of the barge. So and that'll take some doing, that, won't it? I don't know, 28 is about 12.5 kilos. It should still take some doing. I think we ought to have a go though. Hey? Let's put that on there. Are you ready? Just over the truck. Just over the truck. No bother. No bother. There's no to that. You're all right, lass. No bother. Panic over. Panic over.
When the first layer is 2 inches thick, it's left to dry with a rough surface, so the all-important final layer of Polomite can adhere to it.
We're trying to do what the Pullums did, match our rock to the surroundings that it's going to be in.
Like a bit of a chameleon, I suppose.
Just a little bit.
Hey?
Val's Polomite consists of white cement, sharp sand, chicken grit for texture, mica to give it a slight glint, and cement colouring.
Do you want me to put a bit of red in then?
Yeah, put some red.
Yeah?
In this.
Pullum travelled the country making rock gardens for newly imported alpine plants. Their clients included Edward, Prince of Wales, and the famously wealthy bankers, the Rothschilds.
Yeah, she's taking shape.
Yep.
As the final layer starts to dry, Guy and Val rough up the surface a bit more with brushes.
She'll have another lap round with a wire brush then?
Yes, yeah, just keep going round.
Thursday's rock combing day. Hey? Isn't it?
Beach
What else do we do on
combing rock,
Thursday?
That's right. But it looks windswept
Oh, I'm very.
and
A
water.
windswept rock. I've not heard that one before, Val. Should we have a stand back and have a look, do you reckon?
Yes, why
Stand
not?
back and have a look. What do you reckon, lass? What do you reckon then,
That's
lass?
not bad.
It's all right, isn't it?
It's all
We'll see
right.
what it looks like when we get to Birmingham, eh?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll see how many folk we can fool. Eh?
Once dry, Guy's Polomite masterpiece is dispatched from Dewstow to the centre of Birmingham.
Looks a treat, doesn't it? Looks a treat. Bit of bird poo on there as well, eh? Look at that, very authentic. If I didn't know, it'd have me fooled. Spot on.
Moving heavy loads around by road these days is easy. But to see just how much tougher it was during the Industrial Revolution, Guy's decided to transport his rock on the last part of its journey by horse and cart.
The shy horse was a British, you say it's a British invention, but it was really, it was bred. It was bred to be that size and that width for doing a certain job, whether it was for pulling carts around or pulling ploughs through fields. It was bred for that job.
Steve Ledsham has been working with Shire horses for 35 years. He'll be helped today by Gemma Mackey and Tim Breeze, not to mention Oliver and Casey.
These old boys always used to have a bowler hat on when they were buying horses. And
Right.
they reckoned if you couldn't get your bowler hat between his front legs, don't bother buying him.
Is that
'Cause
right?
he's not got the strength.
You'll get a few bowler hats through there, won't you?
You would, yeah. All right then, boys, walk on together. Good lad, keep back. Good boys, together.
Horse and carts delivered loads throughout the 19th century to the parts the railways couldn't reach. Guy wants to see how hard it would have been to use them to keep Britain's supply chain moving.
Good lad. Ollie, come back.
But Steve's trained them horses from being foals. And then he'd be, he'd just be talking away to me, and then he'd just, in the middle of a sentence of talking to me, he'd just chuck a command in for the horse, and the horse would understand that, but he wouldn't take any notice of what he was saying to me, but at the same volume.
Slowly, boys, come here. come here, slowly.
G-back, come here, G-back, come here. Just, whoa, pull together. Well, that's all he's saying, just like that. Pull together, G-back, come here. And they're doing exactly what he says, and I think that's great.
G-back.
So come on, what would one be worth then in the time? They must have been worth a lot of money, wouldn't they?
Horse like these, it costs you 80, 90, 100 pounds, 100 guineas.
And that's back then?
And that's back then. And
so what would that be then?
Well, I mean, if you imagine that most men, steady boys, well, a lot of men would only be earning £1 a week if they were earning that, 15 shillings a pound a week. So there was a big, but the people that would be buying...
2 years' wages? Yeah. 2 years' wages to buy a 4-year-old horse?
They were expensive because they were so strong. A Shire horse weighs around 1 ton, but is capable of pulling 6 tons.
Come on, together, good boys, slowly.
They didn't just haul deliveries around. Until the 1950s, horses were used for shunting railway carriages.
1 million Shire horses, you know, sort of late 1800s. I mean, that is a lot of Shire horses, isn't it? And now, there's 3,000 now. 3,000. I mean, that's note, is it?
Guy now has the chance to drive the horses himself.
You happy? You've ridden a motorbike anyway, you won't be too worried about this, will you?
Walk on together. They didn't understand what I was saying at all. Well, I think they understood, but they weren't taking any notice. They had no respect for me. Sorry about that.
They're all right, you're all right with them.
Good boy, good boy.
After a little over an hour, the 3-mile journey is complete, and the newest Polomite rock in the world reaches the Botanical Gardens.
That'll do us, then, eh? That'll do us. Well, thank you very much.
Very good, sir.
Cheers, Steve. Thanks a million. Cheers, Casey.
Very good, sir.
Bye. See you in a bit. Cheers, man.
While Guy's been away, the team have started planting up the Himalayan rock garden, ready for his handmade contribution to be added to the scene. In the past, it would have been manoeuvred by a team of labourers and pure brute strength.
It looks the job, anyway.
Today, one man and a crane can place it precisely.
There was stones down there, put in 120 odd year ago, you know, put in with horses and blokes. Nothing else, no machine, nothing like this. Can't shift them now, I've had to bury over the top of them. Can't shift them now. Impressive, impressive.
A few minor adjustments help to get the rock bedded in.
You think? Yeah. Have a look, see what it reckons. Just look at that, and I think that looks like a rock, doesn't it? 100%.
The garden's grand opening is rapidly approaching, but Guy has one finishing touch to add. Trying to make it work in time will stretch his engineering know-how to the limit. After 3 months, Guy's work at the Birmingham Botanical Garden is almost complete.
Yeah. It's lovely, isn't it?
The garden will be reopened tomorrow by some local dignitaries, and while the team have managed to get the water cascade running for the first time in decades, Guy wants to add his own finishing touch.
Well, that's it, she's up and running, and yeah, it looks a treat, doesn't it? But it's an electric pump at the end of the day, and I thought, well, you know, we're sort of short-changing ourselves a bit. We're trying to do everything else in an authentic way. So what we thought we were going to do, we're going to put a fountain in the middle of the pond and power that with an authentic Victorian invention.
It's called a ram pump. The ingenious design doesn't require an engine or fuel. Instead, it relies on gravity, harnessing the energy of water flowing down a hill. This could be found in every 19th century park or estate. And they didn't just power fountains. Ram pumps did crucial work irrigating farms. Today, they're still used all over the world to provide clean water to remote communities. To help install one, Guy's asked Charles Doble along, who's in charge of the family business that's been making ram pumps since 1774. Charles has a cutaway model to explain how this revolutionary pump works.
So the water will run down the drive pipe and into the ram. This is the bed of the ram, and then it will run out through the pulse valve, and as it does so, it increases in speed And as it increases in speed, the amount of water coming out through these ports increases, and it gets to the point at which this valve rubber will snap shut.
When the rubber valve shuts, the water recoils back, and the only way it can now escape is up, through a one-way valve. The pressure now building up in the air vessel pushes the water back down. It can't go back through the one-way valve, and so it rushes through the outlet with an amazing amount of force.
That's what's going to go to a fountain.
This will go to the fountain.
As the water is forced out, the pressure inside the pump drops. The valves open and the whole process repeats itself again, resulting in a constant jet of water.
And distance-wise, it would pump as far as you like. It would pump the other side of Birmingham. You all right there?
Ah, yeah, no bother.
Yep.
No bother.
Guy and Charles are going to use a water butt, hidden on a hill above the pond as their water supply.
Right, are you there?
Yeah, 2 minutes.
With only 2 moving parts, most of the ram pumps installed in the 19th century are still working.
Tell me if you want me to lift it up or down or anything.
Yeah, that's tight.
Right, so what we've got to do now is screw the bed onto the ram here. Yep.
Yeah?
Yep, that'll do.
Yeah.
And I'll put that on there. Stick the back a bit more, Guy. We're nearly ready to fire it up. Are you suitably excited?
Oh, aye.
So let's go for it and see what happens.
You ready?
Let's open it right up. Right, so that's good.
The pressure in the pump is rising. Now the fountainhead needs to be connected.
My word.
Right, well, if you get your waders on, we'll get this fountain into the water.
No problem. I can see someone getting wet here.
No, I think you want to go in, yeah, further than that.
We're all right. We're all right.
Make sure it's upright, Guy. We can't have a... That's all cockeyed.
Ah, look how... Jesus, wet.
So here goes.
She's starting.
Right. Well, that's...
I didn't think it'd go as high as that.
There.
Hey, yo.
Chatsworth, eat your heart out.
Well done. I didn't think it was going to fire water that far. No way. Didn't, you know, no way. I thought it might get a bit of a trickle out the end. And I thought, it'll be all right. But no, we were getting... What do you reckon we were getting? Easy 10 foot. 20 foot. 20 foot. 10 foot. 15 foot.
So there we are.
That's great, isn't it?
Yep.
No steam, no electric. I'm well impressed.
Guy's given the restored rock garden his own personal finishing touch.
Yeah, it's looking a treat. Well impressed. New bridge, new rocks, new cascade, new ram pump, new fountain. My word, you won't recognise it. You won't recognise it at all, would you? We're just missing a few plants. We'll go see if they survived in the Wardian case.
Derek and Nigel are back to help put Guy's plants in the garden.
And what do you reckon? Has it done the job?
Well, I think so.
Yeah.
They've survived?
Yes.
Yeah. Right, so, ready for action?
We are.
Spot on.
Let's get them out first and we'll see what we've got.
Guy is keen, but not necessarily helping.
Leaving footprints is very unprofessional, and we're also compacting the soil by walking on it. So we sort of just titillate the soil up afterwards.
Footprints in the soil is a bad look.
Especially because we're a public garden, presentation is everything.
The garden's now full of Guy's plant hunter trophies, but even after all his learning here, the truck mechanic seems to have met his match.
Back when the Botanical Gardens first opened, I'd have to learn how to keep them and what food the plant likes and what temperature it liked to be kept in and what soil it wanted and what... It's just endless, absolutely endless. I think I'm fascinated by it. Fascinated. I'm just, massive amount of respect to it. And I can quite happily hold my hands in and say, yeah, it's not in me. I wouldn't be good enough to be a head gardener. I couldn't take on that much information. I've got enough ramble going on up there. 10 o'clock. We've got a bit of an opening, the official opening. We've got some posh MPs coming down.
Yes, we have.
There's just time to mow the lawn using Guy's freshly painted mower.
Oh, we're looking like...
I can't see, I'm looking where I'm going.
It's all right. It's all right. Damn sight better than doing it with a scythe.
As the crowds gather, Guy has one last responsibility, turning on the fountain.
Yeah, well, it's all a bit official, really. It's not
Very, very official.
Yeah, we've got the
Can you rise to the occasion?
the MP of Birmingham here,
Yes.
a member of Parliament. But yeah, I'm not bothered really. I'm not. I just want to have a look at this.
3, 2, 1, go for it. I must admit, Guy, I do prefer the turning of the ramp up to the cutting of the ribbon. It's a bit more impressive, isn't it?
Isn't it? Well, you got the best job.
When we first came here 3 months ago, I mean, it wasn't a bomb site, was it? But it wasn't far off.
Guy and Val's handmade Polomite rock is blending in perfectly, as are his hand-picked plants, and the magnificent glasshouses he helped clean are showing off the spoils of Victorian exploration.
Well, it's right, isn't it? It's still spectacular, isn't it? I'm not a flower man, but it's still impressive.
The green spaces in our towns and cities were one of the Victorians' greatest gifts to the future. Now, thanks to Guy and the team here, Birmingham's gardens have been preserved for many generations to come.